So, talking about Spark.
Yeah. So one of the biggest misconceptions about Spark is that it is a comeback mechanic. That is actually not true. Biggest thing, actually, you know what? I think I know exactly where to start. We're going to start with our opinions of Spark, because lately we've been seeing a lot of hot takes. We've been seeing, oh, Spark is one of the worst mechanics in the game or whatever, or Spark ruins the game, blah, 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 blah. Sir, how do you feel about Spark?
It's extremely strong, obviously. No one's going to argue that Spark is not a strong mechanic. But yeah, like you said, I feel like there's an idea that Spark is a comeback mechanic, which partly it is, but it's way, way more than that.
It's a comeback mechanic in the same way a level 3 mix-up is a comeback mechanic, potentially. Where it can be used to secure comebacks, but there are much more advantageous ways to use it.
Yeah.
And if you're only doing it to make a comeback, you are in a really bad spot.
Because like it definitely makes a solo character stronger, but it's not. I don't consider that enough.
A solo character with Spark is still weaker than a full team with Spark.
Pretty much. Because a full team, you have the assist to win, to have better neutral, to have better pressure. You can extend better your combos, and you have like multiple supers. Spark on the solo character just gives you more damage, which you already have through Limit Break.
Yeah, it's kind of unnecessary.
And better mix-ups, obviously, but
not solo.
Well, kinda
better than normal, yes.
Yeah, better than normal.
But not really, because if you're solo, there is no ambiguity there, and you're actually really easy to deal with.
Like,
depending on the character,
this is nice,
not very many.
You know?
The only character I can really think of that is extremely strong solo, for example, with Spark, already active, probably be Adult Gohan.
He's crazy.
Adult Gohan is just straight up unfair, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. But point being, you might have wanted to have your team on the other end, but we'll get there.
My team? Yeah, we'll get there.
Yeah. But the point is that every team and every character uses Spark differently. The ability to jump cancel leads to more potent mix-ups and whatnot. So there is a strategy to Spark that we'll basically go over today. Unfortunately, let me go ahead and pull up my script. Because I have it on another computer. I have the game open so I can lab anything that I need. Instead of just doing Beerus Com. Wow, it's taking forever just to open Google Doc. That's actually wild.
What? I'm gonna put my team in the meantime.
Yeah. To be clear, Spark, our thoughts on Spark is that Spark is an incredibly powerful mechanic, and I do think that it actually has a place in the game. Just to remove because I know people are gonna be like, oh, how do you feel about Spark? I'm just gonna go ahead and preempt this. I like Spark. I think it's a good mechanic. I do think that there are things that can be tweaked a little bit to make it a bit less, not necessarily stupid, but a little bit more balanced, especially since it should not be used as a solo mechanic. Not ideally, at least. I do think that it is pretty good, and I do think that inclusion in the game overall is a lot more interesting. If you want to know exactly what I would change, I can't speak for Star, but for me personally, what I would change is I think you should recover a lot faster from successful knockback. So, like, for example, if you spark, or if your opponent sparks and you're in the middle of your pressure and you get knocked back, they shouldn't just be able to empty vanish. That's kind of stupid. Especially because if they have an assist and whatnot, that's an easy gateway to win neutral, and Spark is a little bit too strong to make it that easy to win neutral. So I think it is much cleaner if they just adjust knockback on successful Spark. So that way you recover faster.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Or lock out empty vanish for a period of time after successful Spark. Like, you can't empty vanish until like a couple of seconds. Well, I guess that kind of sucks because Spark is only 7 seconds. Yeah, Spark is only 7 seconds. So
Yeah, first spark is very short, but I get what you mean, where it's like spark, empty vanish, and like with Kefla empty vanish. If you stay on the ground, Kefla makes you block. If you uptake, I'm right behind you. So that's an immediate, with the proper team and the proper setup, immediate neutral win into an immediate 50-50, which will have the greatest reward because spark gives you more damage and meter.
Yep. So,
but you only have 7 seconds, so you want to make them count. So, there's arguments for both.
Well, I think you should be able to win regardless, but not right out of immediate spark cancel when you had just been punished for losing neutral. Yeah. So, but regardless, that's pretty. I also don't think the super dash changes were very necessary. I don't hate them, but I don't like them either. Like, I do think it's nice if it gives certain characters rejumps, but honestly, it's the most unnecessary change in my opinion. So, but yeah, other than that, I do think overall Spark is a very good mechanic. I think it's incredibly powerful, and I think it's absolutely worth. I think it's incredibly powerful, and I think that it's actually reason. Nah, these Twitch guys need to stop reminding me that I'm a broadcast man that doesn't have funds for PS5 or to play God of War Ragnarok. I'm sorry, man.
That hurts. That hurts.
Yeah, because it hurt me just to read that. But regardless, point is, Spark is actually a very, very potent mechanic, and there's a couple of ways that we can use it. But before we get into how to use it properly, I want to talk about some issues that I see with it being used from most people. So I want to talk about some of the most common mistakes that I see in Spark. The worst thing that I see in Spark is people who are in Spark, win neutral, and then just do a normal block string when they have assists. So Spark, as Star mentioned, only lasts for a very brief period of time. The time does increase depending on how, the time does increase depending on how many characters you have alive. But at that point, either way, you're running out, dog. You're running out. So just wait a minute. Did Stealthy already? No, Stealthy didn't do 15. Okay, that was last time. But yeah, that's incredibly stupid because what's happening is you're basically running out of your own sparking timer. Your opponent just needs to block. There's no way to do. There's nothing that they can necessarily do. They can guard cancel. They can guard cancel, vanish, and whatnot. You are in not a great situation. And while you do build meter like this and whatnot, you want to be as forceful as possible with Spark. So that's probably tying into the umbrella that the biggest mistake is you guys don't have enough. You guys have Spark, but your guys just being normal. Like, just stop. Jump cancel. Do whatever you need to do. 50-50. Be forceful. Make use of that Spark. It's okay if it runs out on hits, but you need to make sure that you make the most out of that Spark. So don't bother staggering or doing normal pressure, except in certain circumstances. And don't bother doing normal block strings when you can just, do stuff. And there are a lot of interesting things that you can do with Spark. For example, you can jump cancel 6M and whatnot. You can, depending on the character, you have some really fucked up ways that you can pressure. So, we'll go over specific ways to do this, but yeah. How certain are those circumstances? Very certain. You deep into a mind game, essentially. And depending on how skilled your opponent is. Because we'll talk about that in a bit. But did they get rid of Spark on defense into immediate empty vanish into block strip? No, they didn't. I would like them to be honest. But yeah. But point being, that is one of the most common mistakes. Another very, very common mistake. If you are listening to this and you save Anchor exclusively, you know what? I'm actually going to get a temperature check. Press 1 in the chat. If you're that kind of person where you're playing a game, you realize that you just lost your point, your mid is kind of low on health, but you have a full health Anchor, you have Spark, and you're blocking, press 1 if you just decide that you're going to save Spark for your Anchor.
Just saving Spark for the Anchor.
I'm going to put you on the spot. I want to see how many of you guys do that. Very nice.
I
saved my Spark for Evo 2024. Man, Yamcha's also actually very cursed in Spark.
Yeah, a little bit. That's why I picked. I mean, Vidal's also crazy, but I picked Yamcha for this.
But yeah. So if that's not you, good. If that is you, then we need to work out some strategies for Spark. But yeah, that's the biggest issue. I see too many people banking on Spark as a comeback mechanic. It is actually not that good. What do you mean it's not that good, Ken? You get all of these benefits that last for 20 seconds, and when you're by yourself, it is actually much easier to run away from you than you think, especially if your opponent has a full health team. Now, the third biggest issue is people challenge others in Spark. That is not a good idea. If you see somebody in Spark, your priority in neutral should just be run away. Not because you can't like win or anything like that, but in Spark, it is so much less risky for you because your opponent has to catch you. They have a finite amount of time. Just run away from them. The biggest issue that I see is too many people like, oh, I see somebody in Spark, I'm going to super dash them, I'm going to do that, and then they end up getting 2H'd, and then the combo's huge, or they end up getting anti-aired by Yamcha or whatnot, or they end up in a situation where like Blue can jab their super dashes, or they run in and Blue gets a big starter because they miscalculated, or they get a happy birthday. You don't want to be in that position. It is much, 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 much better and much more beneficial to you as a player to simply avoid your opponent as possible. Now, that doesn't mean don't attack if you see opening, because, like I said, your goal is to drain the timer, not kill your opponent. Don't worry about killing your opponent, because even if you get the touch, depending on how much health there is, they're going to get most of it back. Like, don't bother. You're just wasting resources. So what I like to do is I like to run away from my opponent. If I see an opportunity, take the opponent. I will take the opportunity. I will make block. And if I have 2 assists, I'm not even going to stagger. I'm just giving them full block strings. Full block strings into like the tightest frame traps, because I do not want them to empty vanish out of my pressure. If they guard cancel, that's fine because they waste a bar. And I'm probably going to 2H it. If they guard cancel vanish and whatnot, I can counter vanish. And then the situation's kind of still in my favor. But then I start running away again. And it doesn't matter because I made them waste resources. I'm making them drain things that they need to win neutral. And I'm going to minimize the amount of harm that they can do to me for as long as Spark is running. So... Yes. Knock it off. Please stop. Stop, buddy. I hate this dog. No, I'm kidding. I love him. Hey.
Even if they have a lot of blue life and they spark, do I run away?
Yes.
Yeah. They're getting it back anyway. They sparked.
They literally regen it as you're hitting them.
Like, they just got it back. At the moment they spark, that blue health, for you, it's gone. Back. Right? It's too late for you to do anything about it. They sparked. So resume the situation as if they didn't have it. Because they don't have it, actually.
Yeah, it's pretty much gone. But, yeah, so these are pretty common mistakes that I see with Spark. And the final thing is not utilizing Spark to its absolute fullest. This is the biggest one. What do I mean by that? I have seen way too many people in Spark who then get the hit and then do a normal B&B. You should have sparking roots for every single one of your characters. You should have sparking roots that do a lot of damage. You should have sparking roots that build a lot of meter. And if you hit your opponent in Spark, you should be aiming to end either in killing the character, or if you can't kill the character and you don't want to get out, you want to get the bleeding character out and put them into a 50-50 if you have it available for you. If you don't have it available for you, then put them in a level 3 situation for reasons that we will explain later in the strategy section. It is more valuable to kill their time than kill their health if they Spark. Yes. Because you are very unlikely to actually kill their health unless they sparked very late. The only time you should be trying your best to kill your opponent is if you successfully baited a spark and they spark right into a combo. In which case, then you should do the highest damage possible that you can get. But yes, as Star is attempting to demonstrate like that,
With
you
the
want
string,
to have
it has a
very
little bit like that.
yeah, you want to have extreme damage. Like right here, big damage. Wrong assist, but yes.
Yeah.
You guys get the point. Big damage.
Yeah, it's big damage. Spark makes you do a lot.
Yeah.
If you use it properly.
Yep. So that's pretty much the only big issues. So what is the proper way to go about Spark then? Well, we're going to tackle it into different things, but the first one is we're going to give you strategies on how to pressure Spark. So Star is going to be Blueku is going to Spark and whatnot. And the number one thing, right? So you guys are pretty much familiar if you've watched any of our videos, any of our YouTube videos, or if you've attended any of our master classes, you guys pretty much know that we abide by stagger pressure. This is not necessary. First thing you should do when you get your opponent blocking is that you're probably going to get your resources back. You want to try to buy as much time as possible to get those resources back, and once you have them, you need to put them into very powerful mix-ups. Do not wait. Do not try to get cheeky with it. Don't try to bait them into a mind game, because if you lose that mind game, the reward is no longer proportionate. They may die, but if they get hit, your spark still runs out, and they might still have their spark. If you are wrong and you get hit, you just lost your spark to end up in a level 3 situation. And if they have a character like 18 on the team, you don't have a way to get out of that 50-50 anymore. You have to guess.
You lost your way to get out of it.
Can I get big damage off of Spark skill starters? Yes.
Yeah, you're not in TOD. I mean, some characters can.
Some characters can TOD from 0 bar with Spark. On a, like, well, not 0 bar, but depending on the team. Like, Gogeta, I think, can actually TOD from 0 bar off of Light Starter. Or at least 1 bar.
Yeah, I'm sure I can actually TOD from Dragon Rush with the right combo.
But, yeah. So, the point being is that Blueku here needs... His Spark is going to run out. He needs to... Kefla, what about Kefla? Kefla doesn't... She doesn't really do that much damage in Spark. She just has 0 bar TODs.
That's good enough.
Every character except Videl has 0 bar TODs. It's not really that special. It just depends on the team. Like, Kefla can do it with more characters than others. That's probably true. But, like, nah, there are a lot of characters that are a lot worse than Kefla on the tier list that can do it. Everyone has 0 bar TODs. Except Videl for some reason. And honestly, with Videl, it's just because she doesn't benefit from Spark as much as other characters.
Yeah. Because, like, she's already very free in what she does, so more freedom doesn't do much for her.
Yeah. So, but the point being here is that, like, as Star is demonstrating, you want to put them into very, very powerful mix-ups. If you want to command grab, you can. You want to use the dirtiest tricks that you have in order to win your opponent, because the number one goal is you need to open your opponent up as quickly as possible. In a way, Spark is the thing that makes you completely reverse what we teach in WTG, where why waste the resources when you can just, you know, stagger and kill them for free or whatever and get a higher reward? Just play a proper mind game. In Spark, we take it back. No, you need to open them up. 50-50 the shit out of them. You know? JS.
Yeah, I was... Oh yeah, that worked. Okay, that's dumb. Yeah, that's dumb.
But yes. Yeah, tick thrust. But yeah, so like, yeah. It also baits reflect, which is pretty good. But yeah, no, Blueku is incredibly stupid. You want to open that opponent up as quickly as possible.
Also,
how do we
50-50 is mid-screen with Super Dash.
Yeah. So how do we do that? Every single character has different ways of basically utilizing Spark. You just need to know a couple of things about Spark. So if you're completely new to the game, or if there are things that you don't know, like you're not sure how this is possible. So in this game, you can jump cancel most buttons on hit. Spark lets you jump cancel on block. So a lot of characters with powerful air normals also get left-right 50-50s here. You also have the ability to utilize Empty Vanish at any point, which can really, really, really help you in a lot of ways. It can really, really help you in a lot of ways. And, of course, because you could jump cancel, you get 50-50s depending on what you decide to do, like as Star has been demonstrating. But, for example, like Blueku can do that, or Blueku can cross up JS to beat 2H. Yeah. I would not just, yeah.
This?
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. But, you know, Blueku has a lot of ways of getting in there. Every character is unique. I can show you a couple of ways to do it with my characters, and Star can show you a couple of ways to do it with yours. For example, if you bring out Kefla, if you bring out Kefla, this is where things get a little bit interesting, where now you have multi-hit normals. And the multi-hit normals basically change the dynamic of the game a little bit. So, for example, you can jump cancel any individual hit, which makes Kefla extremely difficult to block. Because now, where she can cross up, she can also just keep her normal options, which is cancel into 6H. And it has very similar timing. Not only that, but it is very, very difficult to block. You could still same side cross up, but here's where Kastar asked me about this. 6H jump cancel JS. Don't IAD though. Don't
IAD for the fake cross up?
Yeah. Yeah. Don't IAD for the fake cross up, because it's not really a fake cross up. After 6H.
Oh, after 6H.
Yeah. So 6H jump cancel JS. Because now, if you have an assist, you can actually adjust the height, and you can basically decide where you're going. You still get the left-right 50-50. You can zoom, you can cross up, and most importantly, this beats 2H. That's going to be important in the next section, as we'll talk about in just a moment. But the point is the ability to jump cancel gives characters incredibly powerful mix-up options that are very, very potent. And for example, in Kefla's case, she can jail into Vanish and jail into JH from 236L. So 236L, empty Vanish, JH.
236L?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. That's some 50-50 shit.
Yeah, that is an actual 50-50 with a cross-up option baked in.
Yeah. That's pretty
like
wild.
if you Yeah, like if you have the bot set to crouching, for example, and then react high, you can cross up, yeah. A little bit easier. But that is very, very potent, and let's not forget that this is a character with low. You can also jump cancel your 2H, which is really stupid. A lot of people don't think about that. Because her 2H is very high.
This?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, that's the Yamcha strat, right?
Yep. Well, the reason why it's stupid is because you can cross up, and then you can zoom. So you can you can empty air dash zoom, or jump cancel JS cross up, stuff like that, or not jump cancel. Sorry, JS cross up. Yeah, it's a bit tricky, but you guys get the point. Point is, these are some strategies that you can do to really kind of start messing with your opponent that are incredibly, incredibly powerful. You know, and your goal is to basically do whatever it takes to open up your opponent. And the beautiful thing about Spark is it's extremely difficult to tell what's real and what's not. So definitely keep that in mind when when playing your characters, and you want to lab out exactly what they can do on block. If you have a character like Beerus, which is why I have Beerus on my team, however, there's nothing you need to do in Spark that's particularly special because he has built-in 50-50s. Just do them. You'll get the bar back. You know, you'll get the bar back, so it's no trouble at all. But, yeah, so now Star's going to demonstrate some strategies that he has with his team. So, as you can see, Yamcha, very hard to block.
And also multi-hitting, you know, the combo, so...
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it's all about the 2H being funny.
Yeah. However, there are some characters that are actually rather limited with their ability to use Spark. Not every character can utilize Spark the same way. There should be, that's something that I've never seen before. There should be tier lists for how well a character can use Spark. Because some characters with Spark are fucking top tier, and then some top tiers just can't use Spark for shit. Like, what are you supposed to do with Gogeta? Like, honestly.
Gogeta 4?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you can fuzzy, but like...
You can do some dumb shit.
Really? Like, not as dumb as like Yamcha or anything like that.
No, but I've seen some stupid things happen. Because...
I think it has more to do with his hitboxes than anything.
This is pretty nice. Because you can, like, everyone can do that.
Yeah.
Basic ID. And IDs are part of sparking pressure because of being able to cancel like this.
Mm-hmm.
And... Oh, I can't do it.
There's a reason I don't like this, and I will cover that later. By using Gohan as a comparison. Man, I really wish I could stream. That'd be nice.
Because he can, if you do it right, he can air dash after, And
yeah, you were doing it.
That's
you
already
saw.
a 50-50.
You saw.
Yeah, otherwise, like, he doesn't really have a low, so he can't do, like, even the almost universal Spark 50-50.
Yeah. So, but point being is that Gogeta does benefit from it, but not as much as, and the reason why I say he doesn't benefit as much is because his counterpart is Adult Gohan and Golden Frieza. Both of these characters become horseshit in Spark.
Yeah.
Like,
and have the double dash thing.
Yeah. And they have double air dash mix up, so they can do this in even grosser ways.
Yeah.
But we'll discuss that in just a moment. So, number one thing, basically to recap, know what your characters can do in Spark. How do you lab that, you might ask? Well, does your character have a good JS? Do they have good air normals? If so, can they make use of the jump cancel mechanic and whatnot? Can they make use of the jump cancel? Do they jail into vanish? Does that jailing into vanish lead to a 50-50? Try to find ways that actually help your characters utilize Spark, and you want to utilize your team effectively in order to open your opponent as much as possible. If I Spark with a character who isn't the best with Spark, would it be smart to tag into someone or just stick with that character? Sometimes I'll tag in depending on the situation, but other times just stick with the character if you think you can do it. Because here's the thing. It's kind of like, okay, if your goal is to get drunk, sure, you can have some shitty beer. Is it going to compare to like the champagne? Is it going to compare to like some high-end cocktails? No. But will it get the job done? Probably. I can't think of one character that isn't significantly harder to block in Spark.
Yeah.
So just
especially
do your thing.
If you have assists.
Yeah, if you have assists, just do your thing and whatnot. Are there some characters, like I said, that are like champagne levels of dumb? Yeah. But, don't be sad if all you have is some Malort or some Fireball. All right? You're still going to get drunk. Is it going to taste as good? Fuck no. Is it going to be as effective? Definitely not. But will it work and get you drunk? Yes.
Right? Like, he can still 50-50, he can still fuzzy, for example, for Gogeta, so might not be the best in, for example, my team, because Yamcha in Spark is probably the best character I have in Spark. But I don't need to switch into Yamcha, especially when I only have 7 seconds of Spark. I need to make it used now. I don't have time to switch.
Yeah. Time is of the essence when you're in Spark. And that is something that you must always be aware of whenever you decide to Spark. Whenever you Spark, you need to win neutral as quickly as possible. And you basically have like a little bit of a hierarchy almost. You need to kill them. If you can't kill them, you need to put them in mix-ups. If you can't mix-ups, you need to use Spark to win neutral. If you lose Spark in the middle of your pressure, or if your character is flashing by the time you lose Spark, just either try to make use of that situation, or just go into your normal pressure and don't worry about it. Don't overthink it, but you must basically use Spark to give you some kind of advantage while you have it there. So Spark is basically there for advantage. It's there to, if like, okay, I'm going to use Spark to win neutral. I'm going to use Spark to make the block, or I'm going to use Spark to open them up. Or use Spark to kill them. One of those three options is fine. The highest precedence is kill them. If you can't kill them, make them block and mix them. If you can't make them block and mix them, win neutral. That's it. It's like a dry erase marker. Yeah, it does. So what does Yamcha get in Spark? I bet he has some nasty stuff. Would you like to demonstrate again, Star? I'll give you permission this one time.
Sure.
14 seconds.
Let me get Goku. Fuck, stupid.
I believe it's 7, 14, 21.
It didn't work well, but yeah, he can air dash that. And all of that mixed with, you know, his natural cross-up thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, all of that mixed with his unique options with the cross-up. You know, beam. Oh, it doesn't work anymore. They nerfed it. They nerfed Yamcha.
Good.
They nerfed Yamcha. Help.
Good.
So, yeah, he's a pain.
This character in Spark is a war crime, is what we're trying to tell you guys.
Yeah.
But yes, Yamcha does get nasty stuff in Spark. He also has insane damage now while in Spark as well. So whatever you do, avoid this character at all costs. But that is a great example of why you should try your best to avoid the character as much as possible unless you have a clean opening. And I mean a clean positional opening, like a checkmate situation that they cannot wiggle out of. If you put them in that situation, full block string, or do your best to do as long of a combo as possible, and even end in level 3 if you have 3 bars just to drain the timer. Whatever you can do. But you do not want to deal with these characters in Spark. Let's just put it this way. It's so guaranteed to hit that Star doesn't confirm half the hits he gets. Like, he will hit you 3 times before he converts with Yamcha.
That happens a lot, yeah.
Like, that's how stupid this character is. And the worst part is he will get those 3 hits. But yeah. Anyway. So, that's pretty much your strategy in Spark. How does your characters use this? And also, someone asked me, what's the certain circumstances where you want to stagger? When you're deep enough in a mind game, people are going to start expecting you to jump cancel. And if your opponents are very smart and they know your options, they will kill you for it. For example, Yamcha has some really neat stuff in Spark. However, if I know he hasn't J2H'd me before, I'm probably going to try 2H'ing him. Like, don't get me wrong, he can kill me for it. But if Yamcha's in Spark and he's not ready for it, I can, you know, he's in danger. He has to know the situation very, very well and has to control when I'm going to want to 2H. So that's something that the Yamcha player, as fun as this is, it is something that he has to think about very carefully.
And most of my stuff is 2H proof, but if I, you know, really want to go, I can risk it more.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, or there's another one if you want. 6M into air dash, you know, is very very used in Spark because it's very simple. A lot of people do use it. You can start to expect it and, you know, reflect.
Mm-hmm.
But what if I stagger? Or a group grab, of course.
Or what if Bluku actually just 6M empty air dash grab?
No, well, I mean reflect the 6M.
Oh, reflect the 6M. That's a bit tough. Yeah.
Yeah, it's tough, but
it's very tough, and I would not recommend reflecting the 6M unless you've already done a lot, just because of your ability to cross up JMs so quickly. So I would not reflect the 6M. Most of the time, what's going to happen is people block the 6M, but then they reflect the air dash after.
If you've done well, you can't, I think.
If done well, you can, but actually, I think it's not true.
Oh.
Yeah, because you're 0. You know, you can always reflect because you're 0 on block on the 6M, even if you air dash cancel it. Like, there's always a gap, I think.
Huh. Huh, I'm learning things today. Okay.
Yeah. But then you have some dumb, like, the moment you... This is activating Blueku's trap card. Because now Blue can do that, and then air dash with if he presses AS close enough to the ground, you see the thing come out, but it won't actually hit the opponent.
That
And
was
also,
cursed.
if they... Yeah, and what's worse is even if they do successfully block or reflect IDS, you're plus.
Yeah, yeah. Reflecting jazz is not good. Can you cancel into air special of 6M, or do you have to air dash? You can like 6M into specials. I don't think there's any character. Oh, maybe. I mean, maybe Gogeta. Not that it's very useful, but like you can. Some characters can make really good use of it. Just none of these, I think. Maybe Beerus. Like there's some cursed stuff to do with Vidal. That's just what I'm saying.
Yeah. But regardless, the point being is that there are mind games that you can play that are exclusive to Spark. We will go into them in another time because this requires a lot of labbing out, and I would probably have to demonstrate this myself. But there are some intricate mind games that you can play, and honestly, you should never really get that deep into the mind game. Like, they're there if you need it. You do need to know it at a certain point, but most of the time, just 50-50. Like, most of the time, if you just 50-50, you'll be fine.
Yeah. It's one of the few instances where it's like, just mix, you know?
Yeah, don't overcomplicate the situation.
You get you get like easy, almost universal true string 50-50s. Just take them, you know, that's scary enough.
Yeah. They are scary enough. Don't get cute and whatnot. Only do it if you've been playing that person a lot and you know you have some grimy shit to them. If you have a really strong idea of that player, then you can start playing some fun games. But otherwise, just mix.
You glitched the entire sentence, sorry.
Just mix.
Just mix. Yeah, unless like I think that's what you said, like unless you really know that player, you know. Yeah. and you've been to, you know, you play that guy every day, you're in your head, you know, you're in each other's head, and then you can start doing things, but that's rare.
For example, in Spark, I will do shit to Star that I will never do to like Yaka. Like you have, there's some things that like they're called friendly mix-ups. Let's just put it that way.
I mean, it's like it's the same when
and if you want to end the friendship.
It's the same when you watch like Fenrich and Goichi in season 2, and they would do things like it's like the brain is gigantic, but it's only because they play each other so much, you know.
No, I would never do those things
to anyone else.
Yeah, like Star probably knows how to deal with my pressure better than anyone else at this point. So like, you know, I have to kind of go the extra level. You don't need to go that extra level half the time with most of the people that you're fighting. Regardless if you're playing on ranked or if you're playing in a major and whatnot, you probably don't need all that. Like, you can ask Star. We don't even need to go that deep with Yasha, actually. Just keep it simple.
No, simple is effective.
Yeah.
And the best part about simple is that you don't lose track of it. Because sometimes you go too deep, you lose track of what you're doing, you lose track of the situation, your resources available. You're too deep in the mix, and you know everything drops in your hand. It's like, oh, I don't know where I was anymore, and you fail and die. Just keep it simple, effective. That's all you need.
Don't get me wrong. There are some characters that are absolutely fucked up that you can play a mind game with. But if you're not playing Adult Gohan, you don't need to worry about it. If you are playing Adult Gohan...
yeah, this will be avoided.
If you're playing Adult Gohan's 50-50s are almost inoptimal. Because of everything else he could do.
I mean, I still remember WoW was mixed up with Base Goku. Where he would empty vanish behind you. Basically, he would empty vanish behind you, have the assist push them under you, and he landed in front.
Would you like to demonstrate that?
I don't have it. I have it with GT Goku because
I can teach you how to do it because there is one character that it's free with.
Yeah, sure. 18?
Yamcha.
Yamcha? Oh, yeah. I mean, I used to do it with GT Goku and Yamcha, so...
Free with Yamcha.
Let me get Gohan in there.
Because there's a little bit of a secret here that we'll demonstrate for you guys before we move on. And guys, while we're doing that, don't forget we have a dono goal. Make sure to hit dono goals if you want to know what it's for. $15 today by the end of the stream, and I will review Starbucks live on stream, and probably violate Twitch's TOS about violence and self-harm.
Like this thing.
I will try to show you the secrets. Let me see. I'm a bit delayed, so yeah, we'll get there. We'll get there. We'll get there.
Like that thing is already like messed up. I'm sorry.
No, it's a lot more messed up than it seems. Actually, I will do that in another class. I will demonstrate that in another class. Yeah. By the way, if you do jump cancel JS into air dash JM, that actually counter hits 2H.
Wait, what?
If you do jump cancel JS into air dash JM, it counter hits 2H. No, jump cancel.
Yeah, that.
Yeah, into JM, like JS into JM counter hits 2H.
Yeah. I'm doing it too fast, so it's giving me like a weird one. That's messed up.
Oh, not only that. Do you want to know something funnier?
Mm-hmm.
Do 2S air dash JS.
2S air dash JS.
Yeah.
Wait, I lost track of the thing.
2S air dash cancel JS.
This?
No. Okay. So the mix that I'm talking about, you hit 2S, pulls Gohan back, air dash cancel forward, press JS.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing.
Yeah. Oh, you were really behind for me. Sorry. My bad. Yes. From what I'm seeing, yes, that's it.
Okay.
Very, very stupid.
So how do you do the mix? Do I need him to be crouching?
Okay. So no, you don't need them to be crouching, although it does help. It's easiest to do in the corner.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in the corner, what you want to do is you want to do something like 5H, call the assist, and then you're going to empty vanish, and then fast fall. But there is a secret to which side you land on. If you want to remain same side, air dash back cancel into fast fall. If you want to stay on the side that you came from, fast fall. You could also do that as well.
Yeah, things happen.
You can also do that as well, but most people will block it standing.
Yeah, that thing is evil.
Yeah.
So yeah, when you have that kind of things, like why would you go force yourself into a mind game that goes way too deep when you could just do that and you know, hit them physically on the seat?
Imagine this mix at level 5, it wouldn't be that much different.
Level 3, you could, I mean, again, you know, keep it simple.
Yeah,
when you have that, why do you don't need to add layers to this? It's already messed up.
Mm-hmm. And as Star demonstrated, if you guess correctly, that's 5L that you're hitting them with, which means if they guess correctly, so you're still blocking his 5L. Yeah. So you're like, or level 3. I mean, because double air dash doesn't do anything for that. Like the assist will pull them back into the corner.
Yeah, that's the like again.
Keep
you
it
don't
simple.
Need the air dash. It's already very messed up, and if they guess right, they're still blocking one of the most messed up character and block in Spark. You know, so don't overcomplicate it. Just do the thing. You have left, right. You can maybe do an overhead. I don't know, because
this character
like
is a
you
war
get that too. Like you have like 5 or 6 options just from that mix. All of them more or less messed up and unreactable. You don't need more, you know?
Yeah. Already, I find it funny because they actually demonstrated the problem with students. Do not overcomplicate it.
Yeah.
It's,
yeah.
Just because you can doesn't mean you should, you know?
Because you can do that. Right? Or you can see, you can make it overhead if you want to. With the float. So, see, that was overhead, but... right, I can 5L is low.
You can make it overhead. Yeah, you can make it overhead, and then you can air dash cancel the overhead, by the way.
Maybe not on cross up. I mean, I did not manage to do it, because it's too low to the ground, but...
Yeah, but by the way, remember that this doesn't work if they're standing.
Oh, the float?
Yeah. Yeah, they're too tall. It's only working because Luke was crouching.
Okay, but still, you know, high. You got like left side low, potentially left side high, right side high, right side low, right side high into air dash. So we got like 5 options. You can fast fall Dragon Rush, you know.
Oh, if you want to see. Oh wait, hang on. You want to see something really mean, Star?
Mm-hmm.
Mid screen. 5L first hit. IED cross up JS, air dash back in JL. This is what happens when you get too lost in the sauce.
What?
So you can actually make his JS a genuine 50-50. So if you go mid-screen, or whatever, you can press 5L, cancel the first hit, into jump cancel JS, and you can remain same side, or cancel the first hit into cross up JS, and either or, you air dash JM back in. So it's no matter what, it's your turn.
Yeah, that's messed up.
Yeah.
But like, see the corner situation with Gohan, you have so many options already.
Yeah.
It's not necessary to go for more. Like, oh, maybe he's gonna accept this one, expect this one, so I need to go like more. Nah, if he expects right, just go left.
Yeah. Also,
or Dragon Rush.
You need to understand why Gohan does this. The reason why Gohan can do these things is because Gohan is one of the few characters that the thing that makes his spark effective also protects him. What do I mean by that? So, for example, like 5L jump cancel, like fast fall, right, is actually before not that powerful, because before they could just level 3 and it would literally kill everything that you want to do. They could 2H, they could mash, and they will always win. But now, because of season 4, fast fall can cancel into any one of his specials. It can cancel into, yeah, like that's a Gatling. Like that's why I tell you, you don't want to mash on fast fall.
It doesn't. No, it can cancel into a button, but not into a special.
You can cancel into a special. It cancels into any one of his specials or any of his heavies and unique attack.
Okay.
So you want to be very, very, very careful challenging this character.
Nah, it doesn't cancel into specials.
Yes, it does. That's a cancel.
No, that's just a recovery. It's as fast as Fastball 5L. But I mean, that could probably work. And that's really good. Yeah, so Ken, did we lose you?
No.
Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're right. Not a special. I misunderstood. It's heavy attack, unique attack, or level 3. So if he has 3 bars, he can actually cancel the super
you
immediately.
do that? I think the level 3 is just because ending combos was annoying, right?
No. There are a lot of characters that can do this, actually. But yeah, he can do that, and if he does that in response to you pressing a button, you're dead.
I mean, that is big-brained, but I'm gonna...
Well, you also want to be...
while we're doing that.
It's really not that big-brained, because most people try to disrespect it, and that's when JS becomes really stupid. Or 2S becomes stupid as well. So yeah.
2S level 3.
What I'm saying is that's an option. You can do that.
Yeah. This has turned into a Gohan class.
Well, we're demonstrating how a character like this can actually use basically Spark, because this is actually unique to him. Yeah. Not a lot of characters have this. We also haven't talked about the existence of how he can do this from 3L, but that's a different conversation.
I mean, you know, multi-hitting moves, we talk about them.
Yep.
3L is a dumb move that you can even hold to change to how long it lasts, so...
Yep. It is actually stupid. And also, you can't vanish it, because it can also cancel to 2H from fast fall. Now I can...
No, I did something really weird there. By accident.
No. But regardless, point being, Gohan is very, very stupid. So, with that in mind, guys, how do we defend against Spark, which is the next one? Well, when you have Spark and whatnot, there's a couple of ways to deal with it. The biggest thing, and this is where we start getting into strategy, the biggest way to defend Spark is to get them to Spark on your terms. How do we do that? Very simple. This is where the concept of baiting Spark becomes important. Characters with mix-up level 3s are very, very potent at baiting Spark. So, how do we do this? How do we correctly bait Spark? Do we read? Well, the thing is that it's never really going to be a read, but you're going to make an educated guess. And that guess is going to be heavily influenced by the situations that you create. So, for example, let's say your opponent still has Spark. They have 2 characters dead, and you're about to put them in a 50-50. If they lose their most important assist, if one character's dead and whatnot, and they don't necessarily want to lose the momentum, it's probably in their best interest to Spark. Now, here's the thing. If you have already spent your Spark, there is no reason for your opponent to keep their Spark. So if your Spark is spent, but you put them in a level 3 50-50, the chances of them sparking is extremely high.
So like if my blue crew already used Spark here, if my blue crew already used Spark, I put Gohan in level 3. In this situation, right? Mm-hmm. Gohan has a big incentive to Spark.
Yes. Well, depends. It depends, because the situation is not necessarily guaranteed. There are still options that he has here. He can raw tag and whatnot. He can block the 50-50, but if you get a confirm on the 50-50, you know, will you be, like, for example, the biggest threat there is command grab. And if you command grab and whatnot, because that's the only thing that beats reflect, do you get anything off of it? And if you don't get anything off of it, you know, yeah. Or Dragon Rush, yeah, but that's less likely. And the point being is that the situation is, depending on how much health there is, can create a situation where Spark is forced. So if the situation is perfectly balanced, you don't need to Spark to save Gohan. Because even if you lose this character, you're still probably ahead because you got your opponent's Spark. So when Spark is forced is when positions are roughly even, or if your opponent has the ability to basically cement a comeback on you. Because that's something that a lot of people don't recognize when it comes to Spark. Spark isn't necessarily just a comeback mechanic, it can also be an anti-comeback mechanic. Meaning if you have a lead, it can help you cement a lead to make sure that cross up, I'm sorry, not that cross up, that comeback is as long as possible. And if your characters have a mix-up level 3, or if it's something like Beerus where they have a 50-50, situations like that will begin to really force and incentivize the Spark to prevent themselves from losing the advantage that they had, or to basically maintain their position and hopefully get a lead on the other guy and create some distance in your favor. This is what's called a very forced Spark. We've spoken about this before. I believe the VOD is on our YouTube channel. Mm-hmm. And whatnot. So if you want more on that, you can. But this is where you will begin employing your Spark bait. So a Spark bait is a very interesting mind game that happens, where the best thing you can do is make Spark whiff. Because if you make Spark whiff, it doesn't repel you. They are in recovery. You can kill them. Every character should have a Spark bait. You should have a Spark bait with, at the very least, your most effective level 3s. So, for example, Beerus has one of the best Spark baits, in my opinion.
Trying to find the Spark button.
You just L1, like just all the bumpers together, like just a, like, you know.
Okay. So.
Yeah.
Classic, you know.
Yeah. Is there a reason you want to keep Spark as long as the opponent because of their sparking pressure specifically? No. The reason why you want to keep your Spark is because your Spark is essentially the closest thing you have in this game to a queen in chess. And in chess, sometimes it's better to trade a queen to determine who has the positional advantage after the queens are traded. So sometimes it is in your best interest to trade a queen. So you can actually spend your Spark early, so that way you can basically have a gambit and whatnot and try to have a secure position after their Spark is forced. Or you can hold on to your Spark as long as possible because it's extremely powerful. Yep, and then you confirm that with 2 and 4 each.
Oh, 2 and 4 each? Okay. Yeah.
It's actually 2S, by the way.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that seemed to be working.
You could do 236L, but 2S is a little bit better because if you mistime anything, you're a lot safer.
Yeah. That seems cool.
Yeah. So, point is, these are very, very, very strong. Now, here's the thing. If you know Beerus is going to do this, or if you know Yamcha's going to do this, you can have some counterplay, but like we mentioned, these are some very basic strategies, and if you know how to read these strategies, you're pretty much going to be able to predict when your opponent's going to want to go for a Spark bait.
Oh. Yeah. It sometimes it gets obvious, and that's when you can be like, why did he mash on wake up? Oh my god. It's like, I knew you would bait, you know. A lot of baits are like, I'm gonna move forward and then I'm gonna backdash out of the explosion, and you have characters like Bardock or Yamcha who, you know, will wake up Lariat to catch your backdash.
Yeah.
And
so definitely keep that in mind.
Yeah, that's because that's obvious. Same thing with Yamcha 5H. You know, Yamcha 5H is kind of a backdash. There's some characters that can actually just wake up and that will catch the 5H. So, yeah, if you pay attention to the situation, you can make things happen. You can counter the bait.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so that's very important. Now, when defending against Spark, your opponent is most likely going to try to cross you up. So if you know that that's pretty much the only thing that you have to look for. So anytime you feel a gap, expect that, but be ready for everything else. Remember the golden rule in defense. You only block what you expect. That's the golden rule in all of defense. You only block what you expect. If you expect the worst, you're probably going to be fine. However, you know, if you can make somebody with good defense if you make somebody with good defense, guess incorrectly what you want to do or make them expect something that they're not necessarily ready for, you're golden. So this is very, very important. So what I like to do is I'm always ready to 2H. I tech DR with 2H. I will deal with it. My fingers also over reflect if necessary, but I don't like reflecting in Spark because of the ability to, or I don't like reflecting sparking pressure, not because it's not bad or it's not good to do so, but because they can. So here's a really annoying thing. There are some characters that if you air dash their air normals, they can actually air dash back in. Like for example, like if you, they can air dash back in and you're still blocking. So you want to definitely keep that in mind. A great way to defend against Spark, for example, is just to be ready for 2H and be aware of your opponent's options. So for example, I'm always ready to 2H, except against the Kefla.
Careful though, because, 6M. So don't 2H as soon as you see, they jump. Nah, you're going to get counter hit.
That's why 6M is important.
Mm-hmm.
That's why you want to use 6M even when you're in Spark. Yeah. Even something simple like 6M dash, like air dash, JM, and then cross up is very powerful. Like back-to-back mix-ups in Spark are also very, very effective.
Yeah. Can I add something?
Do you want?
God cancel very weak against Spark. Because, like, for example, a lot of blue Gokus, they would do 2H dive kick, and you can God cancel that with the 2H. Not in Spark, anymore. Because they can jump cancel it.
Your point still stands, but not anymore.
Right, they changed 2H. Yeah, well, Gohan and Gohan 2H in 2 legs, right? You can do that, right? And you can God cancel on 2H, not in Spark. Let me put the bot to Spark, because I can jump cancel and block your God cancel, and then you will just be like dying. Oops, sorry, mistimed it. And then you die, right?
You're a madman teching with 2H, not if they're in Spark. Because in Spark, everything has a very specific timing.
It's not uncommon, actually, to take with 2H. Even Kaiden was complaining about it at some point because of cooler.
It's actually optimal to tech with 2H against certain characters. Not every character, but certain characters I will tech with 2H.
Fidel also. Yeah. It's because the 5L Dragon Rush and 5L EX move that it's a DR crush, and if the DR crush is an overhead, then just 2H that. Yeah, so you can almost OS it by taking with 2H.
So basically, defending against Spark, the best way is to run away. Run away. That is the best way to avoid Spark. You just don't want to avoid blocking in Spark. If you are in neutral, you want to give as much respect to your opponent. Another thing that actually becomes very effective against Spark, zoning. Like being able to stop them with key blasts and whatnot, being prepared to counter vanish and whatnot. Very, very, very powerful. You have to delay.
The bot doesn't take? Okay, yeah, okay, that way. Like that, or if you do right, just 2H takes care of both of these.
Yeah, you have to. Yeah, you have. Yeah, you have to delay because, believe it or not, Dragon Rush is actually invul in the first few frames.
Funny. So, that explains why it goes through a lot of 2Ls.
Yeah.
So yeah, some characters will, their DR crush loses to 2H, so taking with 2H is optimal.
Yeah.
So, in Spark it's kind of similar.
But
we're not crazy, I swear.
But yeah, no. These situations and whatnot and blocking the Spark are very important, but basically the best way to defend against somebody in Spark is to avoid them as much as possible. Another great thing that you can do, and this is a very important habit. So a couple of things when defending. be very careful with things that do not jail into vanish anymore. So if you're like Star and you have the habit of reflecting every time you see like something that doesn't jail into vanish and whatnot, if you have that habit, it is now very easy to bait. Because now you can 5S, empty vanish, and that reflect whiffs, and you get punished. You want to be very, very, very careful against this sort of thing. So basically, Spark, you need to be aware of what's capable, and you need to basically be in complete control of your habits. If you're the kind of person to mash reflect when your opponent does anything into vanish, do not reflect and whatnot. You need to build you need to build a very different habit. One of the best ways of dealing with empty vanish, for example, especially if it's a raw empty vanish, even an empty vanish into an assist, is if you have enough time, fuzzy jump into fuzzy jump JL is very powerful. Because fuzzy jump JL automatically confirms if you press the light again. It automatically confirms if you press the light again. If they block and whatnot, they land, but you evacuate the situation.
Actually, it's actually really good with like Gogeta Blue.
Yeah.
Where like if you if you have like this, you he's mashing already.
Mm-hmm.
Right, but
yeah,
maybe too fast, but yeah. Yeah. So fuzzy mashing can help you. Especially if you're like Gohan 5L, maybe not. That thing,
yeah,
that
no,
thing's a bit
definitely not.
low.
No, but
if
Gohan
you
has
have,
3H.
Gohan has 3H, yeah, and if you have a high 5L like a Cheetah, Videl, 16.
Yeah. 3H is still risky, but Gohan also has 2S, so.
If you land 2L, does that snuff fuzzy jump? No, fuzzy jumping would get away.
Yeah.
Delay jail after empty vanish. Well, then, it's fuzzying is not like an exact thing. Everyone's going to be fuzzying differently at different timings.
Mm-hmm.
So if you delay your jail, maybe that's going to work, but maybe that's not going to work, and you're going to have to adjust your timing to whoever you're fighting.
Mm-hmm. Precisely. So, in that regard and whatnot, you want to be very, very, very careful, and you want to understand the situations. Fuzzy jumping is also very powerful. Some characters have like 2-2. Like that's the thing. Empty vanish is very risky because your opponent has all of the options necessary. Like they can, like Adult Gohan can literally empty vanish JS. Adult Gohan can air dash back, can cross you up. So best way to get out of this is try to fuzzy jump as much as possible. It's very hard to keep an opponent jailed to the ground and whatnot without having them already block something or have a lot of blocks done before you empty vanish and whatnot. So you definitely want to keep that in mind. But yeah, that's pretty much one of the best ways to defend against it. Is you want to be very aware of your habits, because if you have things that are like common for you, like, oh, I'm always going to reflect after I block something if I see an opponent vanish, you want to check that habit when they're in Spark. Oof. That cross up.
Yeah. Also, I mean, it's very universal, but like, I know a lot of people tend to block until they block like 5M, 2M, and then they will like reflect or try to mash. It's very, very common. You need to be aware if you do that, because not only is it gonna kill you when you're sparking, when against sparking, but it's gonna kill you like all the time.
These characters are all over the place. So best advice is avoid the person sparking at all times. Try to lab escape routes and whatnot. Make sure to lab against raw empty vanishes and whatnot. Build a reaction to like jump back JL, things like that. And most importantly, if you do end up having to block them and whatnot, look out for jump cancels. You will be very successful 2Hing players that are not necessarily aware of how to play that mind game. And they will try to find a cheap and easy opening. And not a lot of people succeed. Now, of course, as Star mentioned, there are ways that the player in Spark can kill you for this, but that's part of the mind game. You just have to sort of accept that. That is definitely part of the mind game. All right, so here's the important thing. How do we play neutral in Spark? So this is going to tie into some strategies that we have in Spark, but basically projectiles are extremely, extremely powerful.
Yeah.
Like, projectiles are extremely, extremely powerful because of this reason. Like, they are very, very powerful. They lead into mix-ups and whatnot. And what's really, really cursed is that they can also call an assist as they vanish. So, like you can call Kefla here right before you vanish and whatnot, and then that situation is going to be very nasty.
That's messed up, yeah.
Yeah. These are small pins that you can do, but what's very important to realize is that Spark actually mitigates your meter penalty. Spark actually mitigates your meter penalty, so I think that actually just might be a 50-50.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That is just a 50-50.
Mm-hmm.
Or with 2 if you prefer. I don't discriminate.
Yeah. So
yeah,
it
catch
is
someone landing, call the thing, whatever.
I don't discriminate.
Hey, you do whatever you want.
Whatever makes you happy, as long as it works.
If they get hit, you know, that's all that matters.
But yeah, these are pretty important strategies when using it, and this is how you want to play neutral. But what you want to avoid doing is empty vanishing every 5 seconds. Do not forget that you still actually have to play neutral like a normal person. Like, the thing is that now you have options like empty vanish to stack on what you already have, and you will get those resources back a lot quicker. So, for example, you still need to move. You still need to move. You still can try your normal pins and whatnot if you have them. Do not forgo your normal options, and do not over-rely on one or the other. You want to maintain a healthy balance when it comes to neutral. Now, your opponent will avoid you. This will allow you the opportunity to basically catch them trying to retreat, because retreating is significantly in their best interest. They do not want to be anywhere near you. As a person in Spark, you can actually take advantage of that by catching landings. Everything that you do normally would be very fine. Your opponent may try to counterattack, but again, you have empty vanish. It is very, very easy to deal with. And what's really fun is that if you have level 2 Spark, which is 14 seconds, be aware for any time your opponent tries to commit against you. For example, I see way too many people beam somebody in Spark. Do not commit to anything in Spark when they're sparking.
Yeah. Because, like, especially like if they try to beam your landing, just nope.
Yep.
Like,
or they'll try like raw level 3 and approach.
That's nah, bad idea. You mentioned empty vanish.
Mm-hmm.
I think I guess it partially goes with the defense thing, but like, don't, like, counter vanishing Spark is like death, basically. Because if the guy is in Spark and he vanishes on you, he's gonna empty vanish. If you counter vanish, they can jail you out of your vanish.
I have seen Nasha do this.
Yeah, it's very common. So both, like, defensively, like, counter vanishing against Spark is a bad idea, and especially like in neutral, you don't want to be put in a situation. You don't want to put yourself in a situation where you're gonna have to counter vanish against someone in Spark.
What do you do when both people are in Spark and neutral? Depends. If you are the person that has Spark and whatnot, but you're like, that situation's incredibly complicated because it depends on what level of Spark, how long they've been in Spark, how long one person has been in Spark for. Like, these situations are incredibly rare. It is very, very unusual. The only time I could think of where 2 people are in Spark is usually if somebody sparks during like a period of rest. Like, for example, like that somebody dropped a combo in Spark and then they spark after like teching or whatever. That's usually the only time I see this, and this situation is incredibly messy and incredibly complicated, and most of the time unnecessary. I would try my best to avoid this position, but obviously the advantage goes to whoever sparks second.
I can think of like 2 situations, basically.
I could think of one situation, but not playing neutral with two people.
No. Well, I can think of two situations where like two people are in Spark at the same time. That happen relatively often. Let's say we're at the beginning of the game. I'm pressuring you, or I put you in level 3, whatever. You Spark. Call assist, empty, vanish. I'm like, no, I don't want that. I Spark again. You know, I counter Spark. Now we're both in Spark. Problem is, this is level 1 Spark, so one of them is about to run out like really quickly. The first one isn't a big disadvantage on this, right? That's what you said. Where
Exactly.
the second one to Spark has the advantage in this situation. The other situation is when you end up with like a 1v1 with both players having Spark, which, like we explained, you know, you shouldn't be keeping the Spark for this, but, you know, if it happens, it happens. In that case, Spark lasts very long, so both players might have to be playing playing neutral in Spark, but, I mean, just do your best. It's very complex.
No, it's a very complex situation either way, because if you give me your Spark, it doesn't matter. Even if your Spark is going to run out, or you Spark second and whatnot, if you're fighting a character like 18 and you're in the solo situation, where it's just one person, but your opponent happens to be playing 18 and they get you into a level 3, and you don't have Spark to get out of that?
Yeah, nah. Pray.
Pray, yeah.
Yeah, but...
Pray they don't know the mix.
Just reflect one side, choose. But yeah, no, it's not that common to actually have to play a really like neutral situation with both players in Spark, and one of them is not about to run out.
Yeah, this is quite rare and should be avoided at all costs.
Because it's
In
just
which case,
messy. Just play,
yeah, it is.
Just play Budokai
It
at this
is.
point.
It is very messy if you don't want your opponent, like if you know that you have a disadvantage, for example, if you're the person that has a disadvantage here, you can either try to win neutral as quickly as possible, but it's very difficult to pin down somebody. It is very, 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 very difficult to pin down somebody in Spark. But if you don't manage to pin them down and whatnot, run away from them. And again, this is a big problem because, yeah, you can also have a situation occur where two people are in Spark, but one of them has level 2 Spark, the other one has level 1 Spark. Who has the advantage? The level 1 Spark. Why? They have 2 assists.
That's true.
And they're getting both back.
Yeah, so McLeod, you say you see that in high level. Like, if you take a screenshot, it's like, yeah, they both have Spark, right? But if you look at the situation is not equal. That's very rare to have two people in Spark in an equal situation.
Mm-hmm. It only happens if both of them held on to Spark, and if both of them held on to Spark, something went wrong.
Exactly.
Something's wrong with this.
That's what I was saying. Yeah.
Yeah, like, most of the time, if you have a character, like, if you have Spark left, if you have one character left and you still have Spark, you probably could have used the Spark to save the other couple of characters. You know?
Yeah.
Like, it's always best to use Spark as the integrity of your team, and that's where the strategy comes in. Spark is not a comeback mechanic. You need to think about how you use Spark. So, aside from saving for your anchor, the best and simplest way to use Spark is as a defensive mechanic. But when do you use Spark, and when do you hold it and take the 50-50? I would take the 50-50 if my opponent doesn't have Spark and I do, and they decide to 50-50 me, but I have more characters than they do, and I know that they're not going to kill on the confirm of the 50-50. Then I'm just going to hold it.
If you're not in danger of dying immediately.
Yeah. If my Gohan is going to die if somebody so much as sneezes at him, then I'm going to try my best to get him out. But if you do a true string 50-50 and I don't have the bar to guard cancel, like, that's the thing. Every situation that you can think of where, oh, I'm just going to Spark, like, oh, my opponent's 50-50 me, you could also just guard cancel vanish. Like, there are so many additional options as well that you don't need to rely on Spark and whatnot. But if you do end up requiring Spark and whatnot, the best way to use it is to create a lead and to cement a lead. So, for example, let's say I'm playing Star. I didn't have a very good opening gambit. Star is now two-touching me and whatnot. And I have a new character, but the new character already got hit and whatnot. Star is like pressuring me with what he normally does. Now, what I can do is I can actually spend my Spark here because I notice that I have 2 bars. I can spend my Spark play neutral with him, pin him down, open him up, and then put him in a level 3 situation and gather as many resources as possible. So if I have Beerus, I don't even need the level 3. I can just build 2 or 3 bars for Beerus and then have Star deal with his normal Orb Oki. If I have Kefla, I can use one of the bars that I built to Razone, for example. Mm-hmm. Or I can go into a level 3 situation if I really want to force the Spark. Because now, if I just spend my Spark to get out of his pressure, I get a comeback and whatnot, the position's now equalized, and I put him in a level 3, that Spark is forced.
So
it is in his best interest to Spark.
What you described is actually using Spark as a comeback mechanic, just with extra steps.
Kind of. I think what people mean as a comeback mechanic is they mean something like, oh, save this for your anchor and things like that. Like
Exactly.
No, because
I know, but what I mean is you are using Spark to come back from a disadvantageous position, but you're doing that earlier than when you're like already losing.
Yeah, you can easily make up the deficit without Spark. It would just be in your best interest to use Spark there. But the reason why I wouldn't necessarily call that a comeback mechanic is if you Spark in that situation, you're stopping them from increasing the lead on you, but most importantly, you're forcing the Spark after. Mm-hmm. So you're basically putting Spark off the table and forcing them to Spark at a time that's not convenient for them.
Yeah.
Which is what you got to do.
Well,
now,
you're stopping momentum so you don't have to make a comeback.
Yeah, exactly. You're equalizing the position.
Exactly.
Basically.
Because you're behind, I called it a comeback for the joke.
But in that regard, however, you can also do it on the flip side. Sometimes you should absolutely spend Spark to kill a character. For example, if I'm playing Yasha and I get a 2M on his 17, I'm Sparking. Because that 17 is the single most important character on his entire team. I will have a much easier time dealing with him if I do this. Even better, if I happy birthday, it's worth the Spark. Even if it's early in the game. It is worth the Spark. And the reason why it's worth the Spark is because, remember guys, Spark is going to give you, especially if you know your sparking routes, Spark is going to give you a lot of meter. It also increases your meter gain on top of your damage. So if you increase your meter gain and whatnot, the chances of you putting them in a level 3 situation is extremely high. Level 3 situations in this game are incredibly valuable because it's the only time where Oki truly matters. And if it's like Videl, where she puts you in a level 3 situation and she still has Spark during her Oki, you prit.
Yeah, I mean, she's not the only one, but yeah.
Yeah, but that situation in particular is fucked up because she's fucked up.
Yeah. She has
and it is still fucked up because remember how you can do 6M air dash overhead? Yeah, Videl can 6M air dash grab.
I mean, you don't even need to air dash. You can 6M to grab with Videl.
Yeah, you could do that, but I prefer to grab because it basically incentivizes the reflect. Yeah, and it times out the reflect a little bit better.
That is true. Yeah, no,
you can also just straight up grab.
Straight up grab with Videl.
Because now they're looking for the 6M because they know you're gonna like 6M air dash, and be like, nah, I'm just gonna grab. So these are little situations where now you can spend the Spark to cement a lead. Like let's say Star has all 3 characters, but they're all on 50% health. I have one character in 50% health, but I have my Beerus and Kefla are alive, and Star has Yamcha in the field, and I get like a stray JL hit, I'm Sparking, and I'm killing that Yamcha. Because if I kill that Yamcha, that team weakens. And now I can use that particular, or better yet, if it's on a healthy character, I can use that to get the advantage and put them in a level 3, and guarantee that on the next mix-up, that character that I just put into a level 3 situation dies. That is very, 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 very powerful as a technique. And if you guys can use this and whatnot, you end up in a situation where you can really, really start putting pressure on your opponent in this regard. So you can also use it to basically cement a lead. So, I have a slight lead and whatnot. The position can go either way. I'm going to spend Spark, and now I'm forcing their Spark. But most importantly, I have now put significant distance between us. Where now, if they don't spark, they have a very long comeback ahead of them. And depending on how much health they have, that spark may not save them on the next touch. You know? So that's something that you also have to manage. These are strategies that you guys need to think about in Spark. Like, okay, can I use my Spark here to cement a lead? Can I use my Spark here to equalize a position? You don't only want to think of Spark as a comeback mechanic. And remember that it is in your best interest. The game is at its most stable when both players have exhausted Spark.
Yeah. I mean,
because that's your get out of jail free card.
Yeah. And it's we're getting all of the crazy things out, you know.
Yeah, it's a queen trade, essentially.
Mm-hmm. I keep thinking about that 2 spark situation. If you do end up in a 1v1 when both players have spark, just like play neutral, I guess, you know. Like without assists, it's a lot less messed up. Just don't beam randomly.
It doesn't. It happens a lot at high level. At high level, I see most of the time Spark getting baited, or usually Spark being properly managed.
Yeah, and like I was saying, you might see 2 players in a high level match have Spark activated at the same time. That doesn't mean they have the same amount of characters or the same amount of time remaining on that. So
yeah,
there's always someone that's ahead in that department of using Spark. Mm-hmm. Someone has an advantage. It's very rare that the situation is neutral. If it is, it's usually 1v1 Spark, which, like we said, should not be happening. But if it does, you know, just play normal. If you both have Spark, right? You commit to something and they vanish to punish you. You can counter vanish. They can't actually punish you because you're also empty vanishing. So that's just normal DBFZ with extra steps. Just don't randomly beam because that's gonna kill you.
Mm-hmm. Very, very important. And I guess to wrap this up, we can talk about Spark.
Spark?
I'm sorry, Oki.
Oki? Yeah, okay.
So Oki is another thing that you have to be very, very considerate of. I'll just set this up for start. But Oki is something that you have to be very, very, very considerate of because, as you guys might have guessed, if your opponent is in Spark, you need to be extremely accurate with your play. Meaning, do not fuck up your Oki timings. Because remember, they will empty vanish. If you give them an opportunity to empty vanish, they will empty vanish.
Yeah.
It is in their best interest to do so. However, if you are the one in Spark, now you have a pretty good idea of what you can start doing. Because remember, in Spark, the idea is to cement your lead. A lot of people, for example, are going to fully delay tech because they want to draw out as much of your sparking time as possible. But because of that, that makes them predictable. And if you let your opponent get certain things in Spark, and they have an assist,
I mean, you got the famous jump plus Conan assist, and that's already a mix.
The one I hate the most is when they up tech and you forward, and then when they up tech and you catch it, and then you do the air tech. I hate it.
I don't think I even need Spark for the one you're saying.
You don't, but Spark makes that even worse.
Don't switch, crouch.
You don't need Spark for it though, but this mix is annoying.
This one. So, is it my time to talk about Oki and Spark? So the default thing that I like, and that's something that I like with all Oki, not just in Spark, because it translates well in Spark, is jump or like super jump and falling with the button. If you have to do an air dash in your Oki, some characters kind of have to properly MIDI and have the right setups, like, you know, Gohan, you back dash ID or something like that. That's fine, you know, if that's what you have to do. But my favorite Oki, I do it with Cell, Videl, Yamcha, whatever, is a jump into a JH. That's very meaty, that covers up and normal tech. And what happens when you do that kind of Oki is that when you're in Spark, that's a 50-50. Even if like if they up tech, that's even more messed up. Right? And right, to get that. So you really just create something messed up just by doing a simple safe jump. And like Ken said they kind of have to, you know, they will most likely delay tech you. And when they do that, you know, well, first of all, you can just delay your Oki, you know, and do, you know, do the 50-50. Or if you want, you can do what I love doing because I play Yamcha, but that works with beams and a lot of other assists that are very active. You can simply you know, jump to cover the up tech and call your assist to cover normal and delay tech. And then when you know, if they delay tech, you can just fall and then mix them. It's just it's just extremely, again, just keep it simple, you know. If, let's say that's a mix-up, that's 50-50.
But well, also remember, but also remember the advantage of this particular 50-50 is that, one, they don't expect it because they're in Spark, and this is only really possible in Spark. And two, you don't have to do the high-low. You can grab
do whatever you want.
Yeah, you can grab. You could start like fucking with their timings and whatnot. You could do air dash, double overhead, triple overhead with certain characters. You know.
So yeah.
You know, using air dash is very powerful, and what's really cool is that you can also bait stuff here. So, for example, Gogeta could jump forward, but Gogeta can also ID back JS and still air dash cancel back in if he wants to catch you trying to do something. For example, like let's say you delay tech and you think that you can 2H the Oki setup and whatnot. Remember that Gogeta has options here in this situation because JS can be jump canceled.
Oh, you mean like that? No.
No, like you can air dash cancel out of JS.
Like that, yeah. Things get scary. I think even Blue Ku can do some cool things. Like,
yep.
Like.
Yeah, and
I don't know exactly, but
also the advantage of this is that there's only one way out. Reflect, and when they only have one option, you don't have to do the 50-50 at all. Yeah, you just basically do my personal favorite, which is whiff JH into DR. Has a very high success rate.
Yeah. Yeah, same thing like I was showing with like Gogeta. Right, I do that. You can that.
Also, some final thoughts as well while we're here, guys. For the love of Christ, please don't worry too much about sparking sauce. Like, yeah, there are some combos that are important, and you should definitely know your sparking combos. But you don't need sauce. You don't need to do like incredibly hard back-to-back frame one links that do less damage than normal corner combos, or do less damage than your normal average sparking routes would do. Do not get lost in the sauce. The biggest takeaway from this video is these are some strategies, basically, that you can use for Spark. You can take them and apply them to basically every character, apply them to every team configuration, definitely play your teams, but most importantly, keep it simple.
You can do some messed up things.
Very messed up things. All right, it seems we did not reach our donation goal. Apparently people do not want me to review Starbucks, so I understand and I appreciate that. Thank you for not torturing my taste buds.
I know you hate them.
I do. With a passion, a vehement passion.
Right, did we have another section? Oh, just the conclusion.
Yeah. Just keep it simple, guys. Is the big takeaway here.
Well,
don't overcomplicate things.
Mix. You know, remember to mix and use your sparking mix-ups. But don't go too hard on sparking mix-ups. You know, 50-50s are 50-50s.
Yeah.
No reason to go too hard.
They're guaranteed to guess wrong at least half the time.
Yeah. Or you just Dragon Rush at some point. You know, that's Dragon Rush and 50-50s go hand in hand, in my opinion.
Dragon Rush is also very powerful in Spark because you build a metric fuck ton of bar.
How much? Let's see. Oops, sorry. Oh, I put the wrong thing. I put the wrong team. I'm stupid.
I built 2.5 bars just doing a basic combo.
Okay, now I want to see what Yamcha does in Spark.
Kefla builds 3.5 bars.
Oh, it freeze. Yeah,
Kefla builds 3.5 bars. Oh wait, hang on. Nope, she builds about 2.5. My bad.
The freezes because I'm streaming. They hurt.
I know, right?
Yeah, Yamcha builds 5 bars.
Yeah, Kefla builds 3.5 on a normal combo.
Yamcha builds 5 on the non-optimal Dragon Rush combo. That's pretty neat.
She builds
like
almost 4 bars off of DR if you do an optimized sparking route, which is pretty neat. Let's see how much Beerus doesn't build a lot, but he does a lot more damage, that's for sure.
Can I do it? Can I do the optimal? I doubt it.
Oh no, this is where we lose Star.
The optimal is actually mad hard, and with the freezes from the stream, that's not gonna happen. But yeah, I guess the conclusion is that Spark is really good. Don't keep it to your last characters.
Yeah, don't keep it to your last characters. It's really interesting. I like the mechanic. Abuse it.
Abuse it. Yeah. Remember to keep it early, save your characters with it, kill people. Recognize when a spark is forced, so you can abuse that to your advantage both defensively and offensively.
Mm-hmm.
Be ready to block sparking pressure. You know, don't guard cancel. Be careful with that.
Yeah, be very normal guard cancel. Vanish guard cancel.
Yeah, vanish guard cancel is fine.
Well, actually, it might not be because if they counter vanish, they empty vanish. Never mind, don't guard cancel.
Oh, that's
never mind. Okay, yeah, don't guard cancel.
You maybe guard cancel, but like be extremely careful. And if you die, you know, that's on you.
If you die, it's your fault.
That's on you. We told you it was dangerous. If you do it at your own risk. I don't know. I forgot the sentence. What? Do it at your own. Whatever. It's fine. It's fine. I don't English. What else? No hablo inglés. Yeah, and don't like. It's a really big one for me. Like, please use your sparking tools when you're making someone block.
Yes. Do not pressure normally if you're in Spark. You must show urgency.
Yeah. You have 7 seconds. Just use them. You know. Like,
you have 7 seconds. 7 seconds of playtime.
like here's like example. You know, I play Yamcha. Right, I will immediately put you in a mix-up.
Yeah.
That's a you know, there's the air dash I can cross up. And now I'm putting you in level 3. And look at all of the damage, you know. That's make that useful. Of course, like it was like not normal spark, but who cares? You get the idea. You get the idea. You get a lot of meter, you get a lot of damage. Mix.
Mix. Oh, yo, it's Bap. What's good?
It's Bap. He came in for the Yamcha combos. Yeah, do we have anything else to say?
Probably not.
No? Is it
nope.
time to say?
Just about, but if you have any questions, now would be the time to ask them.
Questions, good idea.
And like we mentioned, I would consider donating if you want me to suffer.
For the Starbucks review.
Yeah. Contribute to our Starbucks goal. Why not?
Yeah. Why? If people are asking questions, just let me get something real quick outside, and I'll be back in a second.
In my experience, they probably won't.
So guys, you don't have questions? I mean, you've been asking questions the whole stream. If no questions, I can finish my dinner, so not against it. What can I do in Spark?
Yeah, but last call for questions. Anyone have anything they want to answer or want us to understand? Or would like a little bit more clarity on?
Seems not. That means we were very clear in what we said.
Ideally.
I hope.
That would be very nice if we have no questions. Everyone's like, "Yup, I got it."
I will now use Spark earlier in the match.
That would be nice.
I'm not best example. I've kept Spark a lot.
You've kept Spark like to the end of the match.
I'm keeping Spark for the next match, man. So I get 2 Sparks.
What's really funny is that even some of our best students actually struggle with Spark. Like, for example, Fuzzy. Like, Fuzzy will always hold on to their Spark.
It makes sense. It makes sense. It's something you can use once a match, so you can keep it. Like,
no, I mean like they die with
like,
Spark.
Yeah, it's like potions in a JRPG, right? It's like, I'm gonna keep that one for when I really need it. And then you finish the game and you didn't use a single potion. It's like, oh no, I have like 500 of them. Right? That's what happens. Or it's like, okay, well, I have like 25 potions, but they give me not enough health because I leveled up too much and I should have used them earlier.
Yeah.
Now I need EX potions. That's what happens with Sparks. Like,
EX
okay,
potions.
yeah, you need like super potions. That happens a lot in Pokemon, right? When I was a kid, I would never use potions. And then I had like so many potions in my inventory. It's like, I'm gonna use them. It's like, oh, it gives me like 10 HP. My Pokemon has 150, so it's useless. Right? That's what happens with Spark. You hold on to it until you need it, and you forget about it. It's like, no, I don't need it yet. I can manage without it. Maybe I would just like block better. No, just Spark.
It's a Spark.
Yeah, just use it. It's there for a reason.
Yeah, definitely, and use it wisely.
Yeah, wisely, of course.
Kind of the takeaway. That's kind of the takeaway: is you have tools, use them intelligently.
Just, remember that Final Fantasy game where you never use a single ether. Well, it's time to use it.
That time is now, baby.
Time is now. Time to use your potions.
Saving Spark for Evo 2024.
Yes.
But yeah, that's going to be it for us. Thank you guys so much for joining us. If you have no other questions, this will probably be up for a VOD. If you guys like what you saw here, consider supporting us by watching more of our streams and whatnot. If you'd like to monetarily support us, that way we continue to do this, please don't hesitate to do so. Best way to support us is through donations, but if you guys are interested, you can also subscribe. If you guys subscribe, you get access to a Discord with a pretty wonderful community, and you get access to me and Star, and you get to ask us questions and whatnot. And if you guys are tier 2 subs, you even get to train with us. So we're very excited to start doing that with you a little bit more. But thank you guys so much for joining us. But that's going to be it from us.